One of the hardest things, ladies and gentlemen, to really try to figure out in this past 9 years, well, let's say a decade worth of My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, and even the Equestria girls combined, is the timeline. You see, the timeline is one of those talkative, debated, and speculated topics that people always discuss, fans always discuss, bronies, Pegasisters of the overall community, brony Pegasister community discuss. That the analysis bronies and the bronies react, members of those videos and compilations that they discuss. But why is it? Why is it that the timeline for the overall G4 presentation of My Little Pony, why is it the most talked about, discussed, and speculated, and if not most debated? Well, honestly, I don't think it always was. I think the whole timeline discussion started back when Equestria Girls first came around. Because apparently Equestria Girls takes place after, and I mean after, Twilight Sparkle becomes a princess, becomes an alicorn. For this is when we are introduced to Sunset Shimmer. Now, for anybody that's seen the first Equestria Girls movie and has followed both sides of the franchise, you pretty much know that because of this, Sunset went on to become the focal point, if not the face, of the spin-off series or the connecting series, Equestria Girls. She basically became well, to make a fair comparison or semi-fair comparison, like I said, to make a comparison, if not semi-fair comparison, let's take a look at a character that a lot of people say that is basically, I should say, a ripoff, if not the Friendship is Magic equivalent to Sunset, and that is Starlight Glimmer. You see, Starlight Glimmer basically came to be in Season 5, literally a year or a season after Equestria Girls debuted. But the question is, why was Starlight created? Well, instead of making things complicated where you would have Sunset come back and forth, instead the decision was made to make Starlight a Friendship is Magic exclusive character that would fill that void. But, like Sunset, had sort of a similar situation, if not a little different. Both basically went in the directions they did because of lack of friendship and belief in one way of doing things one way and not the other. Of course, you then enter Twilight Sparkle, and in Starlight's case, the rest of the main six, as intervention, and you pretty much have the beginnings of a redemption story that many have considered to be not as good as Sunset's, but with a little polishing here and there, could be. But getting back on track, the timeline, it really started to kind of go into existence when Equestria Girls happened, because apparently it took place after Season 4, or around that time frame. But then things get a little convoluted, because fans start not just looking as to when Equestria Girls took place, but now later on, as we get into other seasons of Friendship is Magic, they start wondering exactly where the second movie of Equestria Girls, Rainbow Rocks, fits in. Some assume that Rainbow Rocks fits in between the ending of season 4 and into the beginning and into the middle of season 5. Some would even say it takes place in the middle of season 5. Some would even say it takes place afterwards. The point is, it's very complicated to kind of know when and where certain stories take place. Now, on top of that, you have friendship games. Now, some might say, okay, well, where does friendship games fall into as far as the timeline goes? Well, again, that's another complicated issue. Because friendship games could take place at the end of season 5, in the middle of season 6, or at the end of season 6. But mostly people would place it around the ending of season 5 and into season 6. Because when you really look at it, when you really look at the timeline, try to figure it out as best you can. Like I said, when you look at the timeline, you try to figure it out as best you can. As I mentioned, Equestria Girls takes place after Twilight becomes a princess. Not the princess of friendship yet, but just basically taking the steps towards that. And Equestria Girls and its story arc with Sunset plays a part of it. But then you take a look at Rainbow Rocks. Like I said, Rainbow Rocks takes place after, movie-wise, is the second Equestria Girls movie, and supposedly takes place between seasons 4 and 5. While Friendship Games takes place between season 5 and 6. But then you wonder, what about Legend of Everfree? Well, Legend of Everfree takes place between season 6, obviously. It's one of those movies that was probably the quickest to be released after the third movie, and definitely takes place between season 6. But then, on top of that, when trying to figure out all that convolutedness of when and where the movies take place within continuity and timeline, to kind of make sense of it all between both shows, which basically take place within the same continuity, believe it or not, you also have to add in the animated shorts. That's right, the animated shorts, the ones that took place a couple years ago, or within the span of last year, back in 2017, I believe. You have Movie Magic, Mirror Magic, and you have, I think, Dance Magic. And all these take place when and where is the question, but assumedly, they all take place around and after season 6. Why? Because the final short, which was called Mirror Magic, has Starlight Glimmer actually take on the role that Twilight did in Equestria Girls, and that is go through the portal and come out as a human. Now I have not seen Mirror Magic, so I don't know if she plays up the fact that she comes out basically as an attractive human, as some people have pointed out. But the thing is, Dance Magic is obviously the only one so far that does kind of give you an idea as to when some of these stories take place. And obviously they take place a little around season 6 and afterwards, because Sunset addresses Starlight as Twilight's student. So we can assume it takes place around and after season 6. But then you have the other stories like Forgotten Friendship, Roller Coaster of Friendship, and then the upcoming Spring Breakdown. Where do these all take place? Well, we can assume that Forgotten Friendship takes place right before My Little Pony the movie. Yes, it came out afterwards, and you might say it takes place afterwards, and that might be true. That's your opinion. But the one thing a lot of people will point out when trying to figure it out and trying to fit it in within the continuity and timeline is the design of the throne room in Canterlot. Because the design of the throne room they use in Canterlot is from the TV series. But the design they use in season 8 takes inspiration directly from the movie. So one could say, just by looking at that alone, that Forgotten Friendship takes place after season 7, after season 7, but not before the movie. So it kind of takes place in between season 7 and the movie. You can assume that. But again, that's mere speculation, because the one thing that I'm pointing out here, the overall thing that I'm pointing out here, and a lot of people would point out, is when you try to figure this complication of a timeline connecting all the dots kind of deal between both Friendship is Magic and Equestria Girls, it's not that easy. Because for all we know, when Sunset or Twilight or Starlight or whoever steps through that portal, they're not just stepping into another world, they're probably stepping into another timeline. Think about it. We don't know how long it's been in Friendship is Magic. The only indication we get time-wise is either months or moons. That's about it. That's the only kind of timeline equivalent. I mean, heck, you take a look at, no compete clause, and all that, or non-compete clause in season 8, and it's assumed that even in that short time, 9 months has already spanned. Or has it? You see, it's kind of convoluted, but it feels like it's 9 months, right? Or has it been 9 weeks? Or 9 bi-weeks? Because sometimes, let's be honest, there are schools in reality that will bi-weekly name a teacher of the month or teacher of the week. Sometimes the teacher of the month gets it twice. It could be the same teacher. But anyway, point is, we don't know what time frame it is in Friendship is Magic. So a lot of the events that take place there, the moment Sunset steps forward back into her real home world, those events may have already happened, and what she's about to experience takes place after or before. We don't really know. I mean, Sunset going back to Equestria to kind of get help solving the problem about why her friends had forgotten who she is could have, and probably some would assume, take place before My Little Pony the movie. But again, that's up for debate. Then you got the other Equestria Girls short, Roller Coaster of Friendship. When does that take place? Well, many could assume that takes place during season 8 of Friendship is Magic, and that does take place after My Little Pony the movie. And then you take a look at Spring Breakdown, and that's when things are going to get really complicated, because apparently what they're dealing with there when it comes to equestrian magic showing up in the world is as a result of the Storm King. The Storm King from My Little Pony the movie. So obviously Spring Breakdown either takes place after the movie or right during the movie. We don't know yet. Well, we don't know yet. We'll probably find that out in the next 28. We'll find that out in 28 days. And then you take a look at Rainbow Road Trip, and obviously that does take place here in the final season, and act like a bridge. Does act like a bridge between the first half of season 9 in the second half. And don't be surprised if it does play an integral part when it comes to the second half of season 9. Like I said, in the end, trying to figure out this timeline for My Little Pony Generation 4 overall between both Friendship is Magic and Equestria Girls, when you're trying to connect the two together because they both take place within the same continuity, if not the same kind of timeline, it's harder than it looks. Because basically the thing what you're trying to do is you're trying to place where you believe the spin-off show or the connecting show itself, Equestria Girls, fits in. You're trying to figure out what part of the timeline it fits in to try to connect the events. Now, some would say they found clues and hints and references as to when and where they may take place, and that's good, but still it's very complicated. I think the overall answer should come not from us as fans, because there are fans that'll probably figure it out better than we can and probably have the closest idea as to when certain events and movies take place. But I think the obvious answer is you need to ask the people behind Equestria Girls. You need to ask them straight up, when does said movie and events take place within the timeline of Friendship is Magic? That's what you gotta wonder. That's what you gotta ask and wonder from them. Or should just ask from them. When does these events take place? Because they, the creative staff, Megan McCarthy, Nicole Dubach, Josh Haber, the whole lot, they're the only ones that know when and where these events take place within the timeline. So anyway, that's all I'm going to say, guys. I mean, to be honest, even I have a hard time trying to figure out where they all take place. And, I think, again, the honest answer is you should just ask the creative staff when you ever see them at a convention this year, whether it's BabsCon, BronyCon, High Roller PonyCon, doesn't matter, Everfree nights, wherever. You should ask anybody that you see there at any of those conventions, what the exact timeline is. You guys should ask that question. Heck, go to San Diego Comic-Con this year and ask that question. And I guarantee you, you'll enjoy. I guarantee you might just get an answer you're looking for. But yeah, overall in the end, it's complicated. It's a little harder than it looks. But you know what? We wouldn't be fans if we weren't trying to figure out, what's what and what's not. You know what I'm saying? So let me know what you all think down below. Comment if you like, and I'll talk to you all later.